Football fans, welcome back to the Football v Football podcast. Today we got the Week 10 NFL recap. What a day of games. Tremendous excitement. Underdogs pulling off upsets. Let's dive right in. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers beat the Seattle Seahawks 21-16. In NFL's first ever game in Germany, in Munich. The fun is over. The Seahawks finally lose a game, ending their 4-game win streak. And I think what we all forgot is, I guess through all the Buccaneers struggle, is how good the Buccaneers defense is. Especially when the offense is there to give them some help. The Bucs completely stopped the Seahawks run game here. Walker had 10 rushes for 17 yards. Geno had an okay game, but had an absolutely terrible fumble on 2nd and goal that shifted the momentum in a deadly way for this game. I mean, that kind of wrote this game off for the Seahawks when they fumbled there and they had the chance to put a score up in the first half. The Hawks defense had been surging, in these past 4 games, but did not look great today. They did hold the Bucs to 21 points, kind of tightened up in the second quarter, or second half. But they gave up 100 yards, 100-plus yards to Rachaad White. Really bad. I mean, I'm a big fan of rookie running backs, but even I can tell he's kind of like a plodding running back. And the Seahawks have a tendency to do this kind of stuff. They always start bad and then they get, they tighten up later, but sometimes it's not enough. I will say, though, thought it Woolen got another interception today for the Seahawks on that confusing Fournette to Tom Brady pass. And thought it now has 5 interceptions, which leads the entire league. So this guy remains in not only contention for Defensive Player of the Year, or Defensive Rookie of the Year, but Defensive Player of the Year, along with Ahmed Gardner. It's amazing how these rookie defensive backs have taken the league by storm this year. Tariq and Ahmed. So as a Hawks fan, I want to chalk this up to an absurd 15-hour flight from Seattle to Munich, and many of the thriving rookies just kind of going through some growing pains and an unfamiliar circumstance. They did target Woolen on a few passes here, and he did get beat some. Same thing with Ken Walker. Young guy, couldn't find the holes in the defense. Kobe Bryant. I mean, a lot of the young guys, even Geno, hasn't started in a while. So I want to chalk it up to that. I also have to say, divorced Tom Brady is a thing now. He's free as a bird. He's won 2 huge back-to-back games. The Bucs just seem to be playing more motivated here. They're more inspired. I know Devin White said he had lost a relative right before this game, and they showed an efficiency in this game that I hadn't seen all year. Getting everybody involved, Mike Evans, Godwin, Julio Jones, Scotty Miller, Cade Otton, Cameron Brate. I mean, Brady was just hyper focused. And, I don't know if that's because the Seahawks play this zone defense that's very predictable, and some smart quarterbacks like Brady are able to cut them up, or whether there was this inspiration. Maybe it's a little bit of both. Some other notes I had on this game. It seemed like the players were slipping all over the field. I don't know if that's a cleats thing. They aren't used to these fields in Europe. And another thing, throughout the game, I was kind of disappointed. In some of these international games don't have the same chance that they do when they're usually playing their soccer games there. And I was disappointed all the way until I saw at the very end of the game they started singing country roads in Sweet Caroline. And that's really the best thing about these games in Europe is that those soccer fans just make it amazing to watch. They're so energetic. They're there for the entire game. And they make it a lot of fun. You know, as a Seahawks fan, I am disappointed that they lost this game. But it shows that they are up there with the Buccaneers. I think the Seahawks are a contender in the NFC. So we'll see where that goes as the season progresses. Moving on to the next game, the Detroit Lions beat the Chicago Bears 31-30. Pigs are flying because Detroit has won 2 straight games against divisional opponents, nonetheless. Amon-Ra St. Brown remains one of the most underrated receivers in football. 10 catches, 119 yards. Jamal Williams put in another touchdown. He has 8, I think, on the year. One of the league leaders, along with Derrick Henry and Nick Chubb. And very impressive win by the Lions here. Put up 31 points. On the Bears side, I think Cole Kmet is really emerging as a premier tight end for this team. And Justin Fields, of course. A ridiculous 147 rushing yards. Now completely outshining his running backs by a significant margin. I think Khalil Herbert and David Montgomery maybe got 30 and 50 yards respectively today, maybe 40 and 60 or something. You know, pales in comparison to what Fields is doing. So the Bears, they know who they are, and they put up 30 points today, but not being able to stop the Lions, who are potent on offense when they put everything together. This was just a really close, really good divisional game. And, you know, I'll say it. As a Hawks fan, I like seeing these NFC teams kind of cannibalize each other. So, good game, but Lions pull this one out. Moving on to the Tennessee Titans beating the Denver Broncos 17-10. I gotta say, something is going on with Russ that we are not aware of. Either injury or a personal issue. The difference in play is just too vast to be explained in any other way. And I think that story is going to come out eventually, but we don't know it yet because this isn't the same Russ. It really isn't. Conversely, the Titans must be thanking their lucky stars they kept Tannehill when they drafted Malik Willis. Because they lose this game without Tannehill. Absolutely. There was an incredible connection between Tannehill and Nick Westbrook-Akina, the best Westbrook in sports, by the way, who connected for 119 yards and 2 touchdowns, and that's all they needed. Malik Willis's only contribution to this game was a lost fumble on a bad handoff. This guy has a long way to go. And I think Tannehill is and should be the starter there for a long time to come, to be honest with you. I got to give credit, though, to both defenses here. Broncos held Derrick Henry to 2.8 yards per carry, which is a very, very tough thing to do. And, of course, the Titans held the Broncos here to 10 points after what they did to the Chiefs last week. So, Titans got a great defense. I got to say, they might be one of the best in the league, especially this 2-game stretch with what they've done in this 2-game stretch. Very impressed with them. So, we'll go ahead and move on to the Kansas City Chiefs, beating the Jacksonville Jaguars 27-17. Patrick Mahomes, 4 touchdowns to 4 different receivers. And he had a few key runs in this game as well. He's my MVP right now. He's got to be. I mean, they finally integrated Isaiah Pacheco and Kadarius Toney today. Their offensive line didn't allow a single sack. And this team is extremely dangerous. Best offense in the league. And I got to say, I mean, this team has to be a Super Bowl favorite. And the best team in the AFC for sure to come out of the AFC, absolutely. On defense, the Chiefs held Etienne to 45 rush yards. Gave up a lot of pass yards, though. Christian Kirk had 105 yards and a couple touchdowns. Christian Kirk starting to earn some of that mega contract money. And another kind of important or interesting point here is that this was the Tony Romo Jim Nantz game, which I thought was kind of strange given how many other high-profile games there were. Maybe Romo just likes calling Patrick Mahomes games, but I thought that was kind of interesting. But at the end of the day, this was a very expected result. Chiefs beating the Jacksonville Jaguars. We'll move on to the Miami Dolphins beating the Cleveland Browns 39-17. Jeff Wilson. What a tremendous, tremendous trade deadline pickup by this team. 143 total yards and a touchdown as we bring in Naif Fahed. Business ready. How you doing, boss? We are just starting to talk about the Miami Dolphins beating the Cleveland Browns 39-17, and I was speaking to the importance of Jeff Wilson on this team. What do you got to say about this game? Did you see it?
I saw the highlights, but it went exactly as I predicted, man. Tua was going to throw for close to 300 yards and 3 TDs. And, I mean, they ran the ball well, man. It looked like the Niners' rushing attack, don't you think? I think that's what McDaniels, or what's his name, McDonald's was trying to do with bringing in Wilson and that whole zone running scheme. And I think it worked out well. They look great.
Absolutely. 143 yards and a touchdown for Jeff Wilson. Like you said, Tua continues to be solid and just minimizes mistakes, really, and uses his great offensive weapons. And that's all really he has to do. And I thought on the Brown side, Donovan Peoples-Jones is starting to emerge as a great receiver for this team. I think he had been good for a while, but now he's improving into a great weapon for them. But otherwise, yeah, you're right. I mean, the coach here has turned them into the 49ers of Florida, essentially, and they're continuing to thrive. And we're going to talk a little bit more about the AFC East here and what's happening a little bit later on. But we'll move on to the New York Giants beating the Houston Texans 24-16. Saquon Barkley, this was a complete Saquon Barkley game, 160 total yards. He's managed to stay healthy so far this year, and more power to him. What did you see in this game?
Exactly what you just said, Omar. Saquon, man. That guy, the Giants are going to go as far as he goes. If he can stay healthy, I mean, we see what they could become. Dude, the guy is great. I didn't think he could take 30 carries like that. You know, historically, you give him 15, he's done for the year. But he's looking like he's durable. And again, I'm not buying too much into this one. It's the Texans. We all predict that they're going to win. It's a little closer than it should have been, too. I think it was an 8-point game, right? 24-16. Yep. Yeah. Pierce had a costly fumble for the Texans. Otherwise, he ran well. Yeah, I mean, I'm not buying too much stock into the Giants, but Saquon is definitely the real deal.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think they're tied to Saquon. I mean, I don't know if over these years, as he continues to get injured and he continues to get surgeries, I guess they're putting things in his body that will not break. I mean, I don't know if his body is completely metal at this point, and he is just becoming stronger and stronger with every injury and every surgery he gets. That must be it. That's the only explanation until he gets injured again. Darius Slayton. He's the only receiver on the Giants that's managed to stay out of Brian Daboll's doghouse, and he's been really thriving. He had 95 yards and a touchdown today. Dexter Lawrence on the Giants, I thought, had an interesting stat line. He had 5 tackles. All of them were QB hits. One of them was a sack, and he had a pass defense. I thought he had a good game. And like you mentioned, man, Texans just remain a lowly team that can't win. They have some promising rookies, like you mentioned, Dameon Pierce, and even Nico Collins, as he's starting to get healthy now, has been playing well. And let's hope that drafting acumen translates to something next year, because that's really all they have. They're going to get a bunch of picks. They're going to get a top 3 pick for sure, and probably have many more picks to go with that as well. So we'll move on to the Pittsburgh Steelers beating the New Orleans Saints 20-10. Steelers won this game on the ground, 217 rush yards. Harris had 99. Pickett had 51 and a touchdown. Warren had 37. And Pickens, the receiver, had 23 yards and a touchdown. What did you see here?
Saw Dennis Allen losing another game for the Saints by not putting the ball in Taysom Hill's hands. We talked about it in Pick'em, man. You can't give this guy 3 carries and expect to win a game. Every game they won this year, it's been a game that Taysom Hill has gone off. Happened against your Seahawks. I'm sure you know that. I don't get it. I don't understand. Andy Dalton is not it. It's clear that when the Saints run the ball well, that gives them the chance to win a game. They weren't doing that.
Yeah.
They just completely abandoned the run. Kamara had 8 carries. Dalton had 3 carries as well. Dalton ran the ball as many times as Taysom Hill.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's horrible. Your boy Jalen Warren caught a couple passes. Looked good.
Yeah.
I think he had 70 total yards or something like that. I mean, what can you say? The Saints head coach sucks, and that's why they lost this game.
Yeah. I mean, no, you're right. I mean, Warren, they're finally getting him involved a little bit. I think Najee Harris is starting to feel the heat. And I think that's kind of why they're reporting we're going to get Jalen Warren more involved. They keep saying it over and over to try to kind of because Harris was their first-round pick and Warren is undrafted. So he's they need something to motivate him. So it seems like it's working. You're right. The Saints offense looked absolutely pathetic. Dalton had 2 picks. Kamara, 26 rush yards. No receiver had more than 44 yards. That includes Olave and Juwan Johnson and Jarvis Landry. All 3 of them didn't have more than 44 yards. Really, really poor game. Rashid Shaheed had 96 kick return yards. And I think the Saints got to get that guy involved more on this offense, honestly. I think getting Taysom Hill involved more and Rashid Shaheed involved more, I think those are some of the keys to their success. Maybe we have a direct line to Dennis Allen to let him know that that's what he's got to do.
I don't think he'll last. I don't think Dennis Allen's going to last somewhere.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. I mean, I don't know. Can they bring back Sean Payton? Don't they still have his rights?
They do, but I don't think he's going to want to come back to that mess.
Probably not. All right, we'll move on to one of the games of the day. Minnesota Vikings beat the Buffalo Bills 33-30. Justin Jefferson dominated this game, had 193 yards. He had a one-handed catch on 4th and 18. That's a testament that good things happen when you give maximum effort, and he absolutely gave maximum effort on that catch. And he had another catch later in the drive and got rocked and kind of got flipped. What an amazing game. What'd you think?
Man, incredible game. Justin Jefferson's the best wide receiver in the NFL. We used to say it's Cooper Kupp. No, it's definitely Justin Jefferson. I think he's on an island there. I think the Bills lost this game, man. I think the Bills lost this game more than the Vikings won this game. That crucial fumble down there by their own end zone. It was just, especially that, and then in overtime, Josh Allen makes that throw. It's a horrible throw. I don't know what he's seeing there. I think the Bills lost this game. I don't think the Vikings really won this game.
Yeah.
Cousins wasn't 1 p.m. Cousins, He had a couple interceptions, threw the ball 50 times. But Bills bailed him out.
Yeah.
The Bills lost this game. That's my takeaway.
Yeah. No, honestly, man, you're right. Kirk Cousins did make some mistakes, but I have to say that some of those passes to Jefferson, there was one pass I remember in the fourth quarter at the 5-yard line where he threaded it in there between 2 defenders. I thought it was a great pass, but I have to give credit to both of these quarterbacks, honestly. I thought Josh Allen, he escaped pressure a lot. Also, in the fourth quarter and overtime, he was breaking tackles. He was running over defenders, and having a mobile quarterback in this league is so important for that extra edge. But like you mentioned, in that key moment, he reverted back to something he's had his entire career and also in college, which is he has brain lapses where he throws these interceptions where nobody sees what he's seeing. And, that's essentially what happened here. I think that was his fourth. They said that was his fourth end zone pick of the season. And there was a stat about the Vikings. Their win percentage went from 80% to 1% to 70% in 30 seconds.
Crazy.
That kind of tells you like how this game went. And the margin of victory in this league is so small among some of these great teams. And make no mistake, I have to admit, Vikings didn't really have a test until this game, and they've proven that they are a great team. The Bills, allegedly the best team in the league, are now 6-3, and their division title is in serious peril at this point. I mean, with the Dolphins and the Jets and even the Patriots, they're all in the mix. They by no means have this locked up.
They dropped one of the Dolphins and one of the Jets as well. I mean,
absolutely,
so,
yeah.
They get to play them both again, so I think they control their own destiny in that regard.
Absolutely, yeah. And I want to play this voice note from Rodi because he's not on the call right now. Let me see where it's at.
I'm sure he's gonna gloat to no end.
He's absolutely, and he let me just find this real quick here. Man, there's so many damn messages, bro. Let me see, where is it at? Here it is.
15-1. I called it, and I'm gonna keep calling it, and y'all keep doubting me. We're going 15-1. I've been saying it, man.
All right. So there he is. He deserves a gloat, and he absolutely did. What a great win for the Vikings. And the Bills, they got some catching up to do. So we'll see what they're made of the rest of the season. Anyway, moving on to the late window. Indianapolis Colts beat the Las Vegas Raiders 25-20. This was a surprisingly great, close game. My initial observation is that, the coach, Jeff Saturday, when I saw him on the sideline there, it kind of reminded me of those NFL All-Star games where you have like a celebrity coach or TV personality out there. And it was like an exhibition game. That's what it kind of like felt like in the beginning of the game. But you know what? They pulled this game out. What happened?
Man, dude, there have been a few great duos in the history of the NFL, in the history of sports, actually. You got Jordan Pippen, you got Brady Belichick. But I dare you to name me a better duo than Derek Carr and blown leads. Doesn't exist. This guy's a bum, a certified bum. Got the Raiders back. They got the lead. It's like, wow, he might pull this one off. Of course they're not going to pull it off. It's Derek Carr back at quarterback. He sucks. He sucks. Honestly, I chose the Raiders to win this game, but it's because I thought Ellinger was starting. I didn't know Matt Ryan was starting. If I thought any mid-range QB was starting, I would have picked the Colts. But yeah, man, Derek Carr sucks. It's time to bench him. He didn't even play that horrible this game. It wasn't all his fault, but he sucks. I'm sure if I played for the Raiders, I wouldn't want to win a game with him back at quarterback. So yeah, just bench Carr. Maybe you'll have a chance to win a game.
Yeah,
but that's what I saw.
Yeah, Jeff went back to Matt Ryan after they had gone with Ellinger. I think that was a safe pick. I have to say, though, to the credit of Devontae Adams, sometimes it's crazy how open he gets in these games. Like, if you see some of the ways that he gets open, it's, like, amazing, and there's, like, nobody on the defense around him. And
best route runner in the NFL.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you said, Jefferson is the best, I think him and Devontae, I mean, they're in very different situations quarterback-wise, but I think if you put Devontae in with Kirk Cousins, I think he does very similar things. But he's one of the top big receivers, and what sets him apart is, like you said, what he does after the catch as well, and the effort he gives to juke and break tackles. Like, I'm very surprised. A lot of these guys, when they get the ball, they're just like, they catch it, because they're able to get that high, catch radius and all this kind of stuff. But he really gives effort. He gives the effort of like a guy that is like trying to make a team, which I really respect. Matt Ryan had an amazing long run. All you guys wrote this guy off. He was given a second chance at life, and he really, really seized it today, I thought. The Raiders...
Did he or did Jonathan Taylor? Give him life.
Well, Jonathan Taylor had one big touchdown run. Other than that, he didn't do very much. But their touchdown run sealed it for them. But you should have seen. Go back and watch some of Matt Ryan's plays in this game. They were very, very impressive. I will say though, he was playing against a Raiders defense that looked really, really pathetic at times, like effort wise. Like they were letting like Pittman run open, all these guys run open. They forced a fumble.
They have Derek Carr on the other side of the ball, man.
I know, but when you're just talking about that, with the Colts on offense and the Raiders on defense, Derek Carr not involved. They forced a fumble on Pittman, and nobody on the defense went back to get it. So Pittman went back and got it himself, which is very pathetic. This was a chance for them to win the game. And then, right after, like 3 consecutive plays, it was a Matt Ryan run. He ran for like 40 yards. He never does that. He's so slow. And then that Pittman fumble. And then Paris Campbell, they threw it to Paris Campbell, and he broke like 4 tackles and ran in for a touchdown in a very, very key time during the game. And I thought that was pathetic. And, on the other side, this game was the Raiders could have won this game at the end, but Gilmore had an amazing tip pass in the end zone.
Oh, great coverage.
And that was incredible, and that sealed the game. The Raiders could have easily won it that way, but it's just a matter of the Colts wanting it more. And the Raiders, man, Raiders are really struggling. I mean, my hotter take later is going to be about them, so we'll check in on that later. But we'll move on.
Somebody losing their job, maybe?
Yeah, possibly. Maybe everyone losing their job. Moving on to the game of the day, the Green Bay Packers beating the Dallas Cowboys. I'm sorry, 31-28. I'll just start by saying this, and then I'll give you the floor. So I predicted the Packers to get shut out here. I predicted Rodgers to be replaced by Jordan Love in previous podcasts. I thought Rodgers didn't care. I thought Dallas was primed to execute really well in this game. And, in a season where Rodgers is struggling, really struggling, you have Mike McCarthy on the other side that knows Rodgers' flaws like intimately. And I thought he was going to be able to game plan against him Dallas has an amazing defense. And it was all setting up that way. And then the Packers were missing field goals. Rodgers got injured. I don't know if you guys saw that. And Jordan Love was set to come in and replace him. But then Dak threw that interception in the end zone. Rodgers came back into the game and toughed it out, threw that touchdown to Watson. And, Watson was doing literal backflips in the end zone. And I thought that set the tone for the rest of the game. Floor is yours.
Yeah, man. I think I'm going to be feeling this one for a little longer than tonight. I think this is going to stay with me all week. Because I definitely think this was a game the Cowboys could have won. I knew it wasn't going to be a cakewalk. I don't know what you guys were thinking. It's never a cakewalk when we're playing Aaron Rodgers. I don't know, man. It was an up and down game. It was a very weird game. There were moments where I thought Dak looked great, and there were moments where I thought he looked like a certified bum. There are moments where I thought he looked like the reincarnated version of Peyton Manning, and then moments where he looked like Derek Carr. Me and why we're talking in chat about that red zone interception. I think he brought up a good point in CD running the wrong route. I think the margin for error there is, I just think you don't make that throw, man. You don't make that throw. You pull it back. Even on the play right before, on 2nd and goal, he ran out of bounds for like a 3-yard loss when he could have just tossed the ball out. So there are some questionable plays there, but again, I think he still gave us a chance to win the game. I don't put this on him. Even though those 2 turnovers were costly, I mean, they led to 14 points for the Packers, and then the Packers' turnovers resulted in 0 points for the Cowboys. So they were costly, but defense couldn't stop a nosebleed, man. Aaron Jones and Dillon just ran right through us. We knew that was going to be the game plan, we know that this Cowboys defense can generate pressure, and Packers knew that, and they tried to keep the ball out of Rodgers' hands early. And they decided to run the ball until it opened up the passing game. Ultimately, Anthony Brown couldn't play. He couldn't defend Christian Watson, who looked like Randy Moss reincarnated. It's a weird game, man. It was a weird game, and you could see the tide turning there towards the end. I felt it. I knew we were going to lose that game. As soon as the Packers got within 1 score in the 4th, started smelling trouble.
Yeah.
Sucks.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
Yeah.
I hope this is not the start of a run for the Packers, though. Usually that's how things go with them.
Yeah, you made some really good points. I had a lot of the same points. I thought Packers heavily use the ground game early, which makes so much sense for this team. And I'm curious why they hadn't done that earlier, because they have Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, who are both great running backs. And, those running backs are
I'm sorry to cut you off, but other teams are better at stopping the run than the Cowboys. Cowboys are horrible. Horrible at stopping the run, man. And that's why.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, in the fourth quarter, there were some really big runs by Jones and Dillon. They were breaking tackles, and so what you're saying is correct. But, when you're able to do that to set up the pass, that's exactly what happened today. I mean, even Christian Watson had only 4 catches, 3 of them for touchdowns. So there was like a lot of efficiency that went on. It kind of worked out that way. Like you mentioned, Dak. He was throwing a lot of anticipation throws on those interceptions, and it was kind of funny because the first one they thought Schultz ran the wrong route and CeeDee Lamb was kind of badgering him for that, and then a few plays later CeeDee Lamb did the same thing, and then that caused another interception. Both of them by a guy named Rudy Ford, who I think was making his first start today for the Packers. Overall, though,
not his last.
Was that?
It's not his last.
Not his last, for sure. I thought CeeDee Lamb ended up having a great game. 11 catches, 150 yards, 2 touchdowns. Tony Pollard, again, has an amazing game, 128 total yards and a touchdown. He's great, extremely valuable. One of the best players on your team, if not the best, in my opinion.
Malik Davis
had 30-some yards, but he had some good runs. I think one of them was called back on a hold. Yeah. Rodgers, man, this guy, he has no respect for authority at all. That's another takeaway in this game. He was yelling at
Can we call out the refs, though?
For that one play, huh?
That one major play. That was a clear PI. I mean, CD was getting tackled before the ball even got there. I think OY sent a picture in the group. You saw that, man. It was clear as day.
Yeah.
It's a game changer.
Yeah, I mean, what's happening there? Why does that seem to happen with the Packers versus the Cowboys?
I don't know, man. I don't know. It's something the NFL should look into.
It is weird, though, because, the way you talk, it's kind of like you have PTSD with this matchup, and that this happens before, and you expected it to happen, and there's some kind of thing with this matchup that this sort of thing happens. And especially when you have that tie of Mike McCarthy with this team again. Him going for it on 4th down when he's in field goal range, I'm sorry, that's a terrible call. That's a really, really, really bad call, and he slammed his headset after that. And I thought that was like a meltdown. Like, really, you don't trust your defense, who's one of the best in the league, to make a stop there, or at least hold them to 3 points. I thought that was bad.
Your kicker, who's only missed 2 59-yard field goals this year, and had 1 extra point blocked. Man.
Yeah, but big ramifications in the NFC. I mean, there seems to be a lot of teams in the NFC now. It's kind of getting a little closer, so we'll see how it works out. But moving on to the last game here, Arizona Cardinals beating the Los Angeles Rams 27-17 in the matchup we've all been waiting for: Colt McCoy versus John Walford. Did you see any of this terrible game?
I did, unfortunately. It's a horrible game. Just one thing, I mean, we spoke on the pick'em. We brought up a point about Stafford being racist. I think that was solidified after watching Allen Robinson and Van Jefferson have a pretty good game. I mean, Jefferson scored a touchdown. Robinson had 50 yards receiving. Cooper Kupp only had 1 catch for negative yards. Matt Stafford's definitely racist. But yeah, I mean, it's the same old Rams. They can't run the ball. Can't really throw the ball. Although, I mean, I didn't know Stafford wasn't playing outside of other receivers catching the ball. It looked like the same old Rams. Cardinals looked all right, but they were playing the Rams. I don't know, man.
Yeah. The most commonly heard phrase in the Rams offense this year is intended for Skowronek. I don't even know how to say his name. Skowronek?
Skowronek.
Yeah. But every single time I watch this game, they try to throw it to that guy, and it doesn't and they just don't connect. Today he had 2 catches on 7 targets. Happened again.
7 targets.
Yeah, I thought Rondale Moore is starting to emerge as like a tremendous possession receiver, and he also had an incredible one-handed catch on 4th down too. These receivers are dangerous, man. Between him and Hopkins, and also AJ Green had a great catch today as well. I think for a touchdown. Yeah, they have dangerous receivers. I have to say. I'm glad the Seahawks didn't catch him when all this was coming together like today. I gotta give a shout out to Budda Baker. He had a pick and an incredible run back as well. I think he's one of the best safeties in the league, if not the best. And the Rams dropped to 3-6. And it's so incredibly satisfying to see these fraud Rams that bought a Super Bowl last year with the help and blessing of their tenants, the NFL. Now they have no draft picks. They have no hope. And I love it.
Honestly, I think it's worth it.
Let it be worth it. It's in the past. They got what they needed, and I'm going to love seeing them get back into being a terrible team. I'm going to really, really enjoy it. And then what's going to happen to Aaron Donald? He's probably going to retire. And then Jalen Ramsey is going to argue his way out of town. It's going to be so beautiful. Where's Cooper Kupp going to go? I don't care.
I think Ramsey has a spot on first take after all this.
There you go.
As much as he talks. I mean,
yeah.
Where was he today?
On the losing side. And I think he has like a show where he has to talk like after every game. I remember I saw it after one of their losses. I'm going to look it up today, and I'm going to watch it. I'm going to really enjoy it. So,
you know what's worse than the Cowboys losing?
What's that?
Hearing Jalen Ramsey talk.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, he never takes any accountability, this guy. But anyway, those were the games for Week 10. We're going to move to the hot takes segment here. And I'm going to go ahead and start with mine. I alluded to it earlier. Josh McDaniels, how does he not get fired after this? A 2-6 start with those incredible weapons on offense. Josh Jacobs, Devontae Adams, a lot of these other guys as well. And how does this guy keep his job? And they've lost against such bad teams. And like you said, they blow all these leads. And the defense, it's like an effort. It's an effort thing that they're not giving effort on defense. How does this guy keep his job? I think this guy absolutely gets fired before Monday, before tomorrow. I think he gets fired tonight, or at least he deserves to be. So, do you have any takeaways from this week?
No, I mean, I'll just piggyback on that. I think McDaniels should be fired, but I think he should be fired for starting Derek Carr. I don't understand why he keeps going with him. But, I mean, maybe he just took that job because he thought Carr had anything in him. And maybe that's another reason for him to get fired. Because if you watch Derek Carr for the first 8 years of his career, I don't know what you saw. There's nothing to salvage there. I think Dennis Allen should get fired, to be honest. I think the Saints have dropped a few games that they could have won if they just played Taysom Hill. So maybe those are 2 coaches that should be let go. I think it will be tougher to let go McDaniel during his first year. But, I don't like him, man. I don't like what he did with the Colts. Never liked him. Never liked him with the Broncos or when he was a coordinator with the Pats. There's something off about McDaniels. So I wouldn't be sad to see him get fired, to be honest.
I agree. And that it kind of works with a lot of these like Patriots assistant coaches. Like they have the demeanor of Belichick without like the talent and the acumen. And like none of them ever make themselves with anything. And we have Roddy joining the call here at the very end.
Oh God!
I can't believe you actually caught us here. We were at the very end of this podcast, and you jumped on. And I'm going to give you the floor here to say what you would like to say about a recap of Week 10.
I don't think anything really that interesting happened this week.
Oh, really?
Yeah, did you guys watch it? I mean, I didn't watch, honestly, I didn't really notice. I didn't really watch much football. I'm not really a big football fan,
Oh, yeah?
So, yeah, I didn't really notice it. It's like, yo, the Vikings, baby, let's go! I know y'all watched that.
Oh, man, what a game.
I know y'all saw that.
Oof. Talk about it. That was the game of the year for me. What did you think?
I was not even worried. Even when we didn't get that fourth down, I was like, somehow, some way, we're going to go 15-1 and win the Super Bowl. I don't know how. And guess what, baby? God. Never doubt God. He came through.
Ooh. God? God came through the Vikings today. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, God did not like the Cowboys.
Yeah.
I have to say, the Cowboys are garbage. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's all you got?
You guys are a terrible team.
But you
No
know,
offense.
if the Cowboys had won that game, then there would have been a 6-game lead for the Vikings in the NFC North, because the Lions have 3 wins, Bears have 3 wins, and the Packers had 3 wins until they just won this game, and the Vikings are 8-1. So if I were you, I would have been rooting for the Cowboys.
I'm a little winded from that excitement. I have to be honest.
You still have like a 4-game lead or a 5-game lead, so I think they have it safely in the bag. But
guys,
yeah,
don't worry, okay? I think you should all stop watching football, okay? The Vikings are going to go 15-1 and win the Super Bowl. I've been saying it since day one. I'm not going to change my opinion. And I'm just telling you that this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But yes, this is what's going to happen.
I think you guys are going to lose to the Cowboys.
Are they
Are
playing?
we playing you?
Yeah.
In the season?
Next week.
Next week? Ooh.
I think so.
I don't think we'll play you this year, Knife, man. Chill out.
I think we play next week.
Let's get a check on that. If so, then the pick'em next week is going to be must-watch television.
Yeah, it's at Minnesota.
At Minnesota. Ooh, what a game. Looking forward to that.
Yo, Knife, when is the casino going to open?
Right after the Bus Boys and Poets.
What a businessman. This guy is opening up business all across Bahrain, from coffee shops to casinos, I guess. But
he's running the show. I just want to apologize for jumping on a little bit late.
No, that's it. That's it. We're we're in the plugs section of this pod as we've wrapped up today's Week 10 slate of games. So, are there any final plugs here?
Yes, I got a plug. Boys and girls, the new episode is in the making, and let me tell you. First of all, before I get to the new episode, you should all join my channel, Radi for Coffee, RADY for Coffee. What I do is I talk about all the DMV coffee shops. Let's say one day you're like, man, I want to try a new coffee shop. Been going to the same spot over and over again, but I don't know where to go. Guess what? Come to my channel. I'll tell you where to go, baby.
Oh, yeah.
And next week, I don't know when I'm going to finish editing, but wait, it's coming soon.
Nice.
This next episode is going to be a banger, baby.
Yeah.
Was the coffee shop good or was it
Yeah, no, I've seen some of the videos. They're very, very well made. Very, very well made.
Thanks, bro.
So,
I really appreciate that.
Yeah. I like also the way you use the duck. You know, the duck noise when you're making. Yeah. I want more of that. I want more of the duck noise. That makes it really, really funny.
We got more noises, man. We're gonna be doing all kinds of stuff. We're just getting started, baby. Yeah. We are like the Football Beat Football Podcast. We're just getting started.
There we go. I like that. Naif, I'm sorry, Plato has not done anything.
Edit that out. You don't say their name, man. You gotta take this out.
They've completely ignored our existence.
The guys at Hasbro?
Yeah, the guys at Hasbro. Yeah, so you have anything to plug after that? Anything lying around next to you, that CD that's behind you that I don't know what that is?
Frank Sinatra and Beatles, man. Shout out to them.
Nice.
You really, man, you have the casino look down pat. Frank Sinatra in the background.
It's a halal casino though.
Got this little radio. It's old school radio over here.
Yeah, that looks like.
I can almost guarantee you, Knife didn't buy any of this shit. I mean, any of this stuff. Sorry.
What? Of course I did, man. This is all me.
Nice.
I guess you've changed.
Yeah, that's some serious design.
Changed.
Yeah, you know, your bedroom used to look like a 8th grader's.
Yeah, I got married. I have a child now, man. Of course I changed.
Yeah, but I only see 8th grader now.
Listen, I don't know why we're discussing this on the podcast. But it has nothing to do with football.
You're right.
We added in some juicy personal talk here.
My
love it.
apologies.
I love it.
This is
I
off
love it.
topic. This is off topic.
Absolutely.
You're right.
No. Tune into the next pod, the Roddy V Naif pod, for more coverage on their discussion of how they've changed over the years. But that'll do it for this Week 10 NFL recap. Thank you so much for joining. This has been the Football v Football podcast. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Twitter. We just joined Apple Podcasts, so you can listen to this podcast on Apple Podcasts. So listen on there as well, in addition to Spotify and Anchor. And, of course, as always, on YouTube. And you can support this podcast on Ko-fi or really any of those. Spotify has a support. Apple has a support. So support on any of those. Naif Fahed headed to the casino. Errodi celebrating his Vikings. Thank you guys so much for joining. And have a fantastic day, football fans.
Have a great day.